There's no better education than getting out and seeing the world.
The experiences are what you're going to remember in the long run.
Getting out to see the world has just really opened my eyes to a lot of things.
I know a little bit about a lot of random things, and that's because of travel.
We're going to be able to learn so much about some really great destinations.
I'm excited about how this will improve our group itineraries.
I'm really looking forward to having great conversations about places. Welcome to Destination Dispatch.
Hello, I'm Jim Deliman with Group Travel Odyssey. Thank you for joining us once again today for this, our second part of a very special Destination Dispatch. We are road tripping part 2. Before we get started with that, just a reminder, if you've not done so yet, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click that subscribe button. Also, if you ring the bell, you'll be notified anytime that we do have new content on our YouTube channel. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn at Group Travel Odyssey, and make sure to like the Group Travel Odyssey Facebook page as well. Well, as I said, we're coming into part 2 of road tripping, and let me bring on our co-host so we can go ahead and get started with this. First, we have our lead navigator from Group Travel Odyssey, Keith Snode.
Hey, Jim.
Keith, how are you?
I'm fine. I am happily back in Florida and avoiding all the mess that was starting up in Chicago where I was.
Well, and see, I'm happily in Ohio. A day earlier than anticipated because I also traveled early in order to avoid this mess that's going to be happening. Although you might
have an extended stay.
I know. We ran into a bit of a mess in Pennsylvania. So we did have a bit of snow that we had to go through for about 45 minutes. And then
gone up over the mountains probably, right?
Yep. It was kind of white out, but hey, why not? Subaru made it through just fine. So
of course it did.
And here we are. Well, let's bring on our other co-host. He is the host of. Keith, take this over. I'm freezing here.
Destinations Beyond Expectations.
Thank you.
Jinx, you owe me.
I'm sorry about that. My internet keeps freezing little bits, and I'm like, So sorry about that if that continues to happen. Stevie G, welcome. How are you?
Hey, welcome to us all, right? Happy Christmas Eve to everyone. So
Eve.
Yeah, I think that's right. 3
Is that a new holiday? Christmas Eve?
Yeah.
It is now.
Yeah, that's right. There we go. Stevie G has decreed it so.
Exactly. So today we're going to continue what we started a couple of weeks ago. I was going to say last week, but it was a couple of weeks now. We went through the first part of our Destination Dispatch episodes to do a recap, just to kind of revisit some really fantastic group destinations and talk about some of our favorite things that we learned during the time that we spent with some really fantastic people from the CVBs and the DMOs. So, we started last time with Mackinac, and I think we went all the way through Santa Fe. And so now we're going to pick up from there. And how are we going to get started, gentlemen?
Well, we're going to start with Mobile, Alabama is what we're going to do, because that is a great destination. You can follow along on our blog. If you go to grouptravelodyssey.com, you can go to the blog page, which I have up here, and you can follow along with us today. So I'm going to start with Mobile, which if nobody knows where Mobile is, it's actually on the Gulf Coast between Pensacola and Biloxi, on Mobile Bay. Of course, that makes it easy since it's Mobile, Alabama. One of the things that I learned about Mobile that I really didn't know, we talk about history in so many cities in the United States, but we often forget a lot of the history that predates, the Constitution and stuff. And so Mobile was founded in 1702. And the most interesting fact about that was that it has been under 6 different flags have flown over Mobile. The French, the Spanish, the British, the Confederate States, and then there was a brief period of time where it was part of the Republic of Alabama and then the United States. So I had totally forgotten about that from the episode. And when I watched it again, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Probably not a lot of places in the United States that could say they've had 6 different flags.
True.
So that's pretty cool. But Michael, who was our guest, said he made my job easy because he talked about the 5 reasons why groups should visit Mobile. And I'm gonna label the 5. Ecotourism, because of their airboat adventures and fishing and all of the things you can do on the water and in nature. Food. One of the interesting things, I did a little research after he mentioned food, and he during the episode he didn't mention a ton, but I did a little research on it. And there's actually, Stevie G, you would love this. There's actually a brewery and dog park. Like, it's a together location.
I would. I think they're actually putting one of those in Orlando, but yeah, that's something I totally do.
Yes, I thought of you instantly when I saw that. But then, so he said ecotourism and food, history, which we see obviously because of the 6 different flags, but places like Fort Gaines, the USS Alabama are there. So a really great history location if you're trying to dive into some early U.S. history, even some later U.S. history. Arts and cultural. So one of the things that he mentioned as a kind of a cultural experience is he mentioned Forrest Gump, the movie, and the shrimping experience. And they can actually recreate that for groups. You can go out and see the shrimping boats come in. You can see the shrimp being processed and frozen, ready to go to market. But then right after that, 3 minutes up the road, he said, you can actually go and have a shrimp boil right outside. So a really great cultural experience for groups. And then this is the one that I thought, this is really interesting. Mobile is actually the home of Mardi Gras, and they won't let you tell them otherwise. It's the oldest location celebrating this event in the United States. And it's actually a very family-friendly version of Mardi Gras. So it's a great place to go to experience that wonderful time of year. Speaking of time of year, fun Christmas fact, they have the Wharf North Pole Express train from November to December. And it's more for children and things like that, but that is a great holiday activity in the Mobile, Alabama area. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Stevie G and our next destination, which is
Sarasota. We had Kelly DeFebo from Visit Sarasota County join us on an episode of Destination Dispatch several months ago. And, you know, Sarasota sits just south of Tampa on Florida's Gulf Coast. And you can get there pretty easily by car or bus, as it's just off I-75. And Sarasota has the award-winning Sarasota Bradenton International Airport as well. So keep that in mind when you're traveling, because you can fly directly into Sarasota instead of flying into Tampa and then driving down south. So before our episode of Destination Dispatch, I knew about John Ringling a little bit in some of the circus legacy, but during our live stream, I got to learn so much more about John Ringling's footprint and how impactful he actually was in Sarasota. Of course, the Ringling Estate is such a popular place to visit with the Museum of Art, the Circus Museum, and all that stuff. But John Ringling was also a big real estate developer in Florida. And in fact, you can stop by a building now. It's a restaurant, Cafe L'Europe in Sarasota. And it's a historic spot because that building was the location of John Ringling's real estate office back in the day. So Ringling made such a huge impact in Sarasota. And I really enjoyed getting to learn a little bit more about his story during our live stream. Groups should consider visiting Sarasota for a few reasons. For one, as I've already sort of mentioned here, the circus legacy is unique, and groups will have a blast learning about all of that stuff. In addition to everything Ringling, though, Sarasota County is home to world-class beaches. And one more thing I'll mention is that for student groups, Sarasota offers great educational opportunities. Sarasota County actually has a community of Amish and Mennonite people, and there are several different ways that students can actually go ahead and learn about their culture. Another thing to mention is that Newtown, the Newtown community in Sarasota, is the last stop on the U.S. Civil Rights Trail, and groups can actually visit Newtown to learn more about how Newtown's residents pushed to desegregate Sarasota's beaches back in the 1950s. And then finally, one more thing I'll mention is with a unique coastal ecosystem, there are a ton of opportunities for ecotourism for student groups visiting Sarasota as well. And then let's get to the holiday fact. One really fun thing that happens in Sarasota during the holidays is that Sarasota holds the Sarasota Holiday Boat Parade. And what this is this happened back on December 10th of this year, but boats of all sizes, many of them decorated in Christmas lights, will actually float down Sarasota's bayfront. And it's really easy to watch. Viewers of the parade can just simply grab a folding chair and find a spot along the water to take everything in. It's quite a cool event.
Excellent. I guess it's me next, right?
You're moving on to a great destination.
Absolutely.
We all love.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, I could go on and on about Nashville, but I'm not going to go on and on. I'm just going to give you some of the highlights. We had Stacy Flores on from Visit Music City. And, as far as Nashville goes, most everybody knows where it is. But just as a refresher, it's about 2 hours north of Huntsville. It's also 2 hours from Chattanooga. Nashville's located kind of just west and north of the center of Tennessee. Very easy to get to by bus or by plane. Their airport is serviced by all of the major airlines. 40% of the U.S. population lives within 600 miles of Nashville. So it makes it a really fantastic place for group travel. The airport itself offers 97 nonstop destinations from their airport. So it's a huge airport. One thing that I learned about Nashville is that the music scene, everybody considers the music scene to be very country music. It's much more eclectic than people realize. There's something for every taste. Of course, country music is still the queen. There's also a big blues scene and alternative music scene. You get a lot of composers and a lot of lyricists that come through Nashville and get their starts there. The honky tonks are absolutely amazing. It's one of the great places where you can just walk into and out of these little clubs and experience some really fantastic music. And again, a lot of times you're hearing people that within the next couple of years are going to be the next big thing. So that's really something that's fantastic. The foodie scene has also blown up. They have, when we had our destination dispatch, she was saying that they just had in the past year over 200 new restaurants that had opened. Not just Nashville hot chicken, but a lot of meat and three restaurants, barbecue, also a lot of ethnic culture foods. They have Indian food, Thai food. The options are unlimited as far as the types of foods and stuff that you can get in Nashville as well.
Jim, I had one of the best steak tartares I've ever had in my life
in Nashville.
At a restaurant in Nashville. I wish I could remember the name of it, but it was amazing.
Isn't that amazing? It just, again, you think so many times that it's going to be country food, it's going to be all the fried chicken, but there's so much more. And it's just a complete foodie heaven for people. So Nashville is, a really fantastic destination for groups. There's so many options of places to stay. One great place is, of course, the Gaylord Opryland. And the Gaylord Resort there is just massive. For those of you who may never have experienced a Gaylord Resort, it is like a campus of buildings that are all connected and covered with these atriums. So you can leave your room and you could walk across the entire complex to the opposite side without having to take a coat or anything else. It's just all interior. Phenomenal places. There are rivers running through it. There are gardens. There are waterfalls. It's just truly a spectacular destination. But there are many, many hotels that you can stay. Also, you can visit Ryman Auditorium, which was the birth of the Grand Ole Opry. And you can also take in a concert at Opryland, at the Grand Ole Opryland, which is right next to that Gaylord Opryland Resort. You could visit the Parthenon, which is an actual replica of the Parthenon. It's right there in that general area. It's a very, very walkable downtown. All the major museums are right there in that downtown area, and they're all within several blocks of each other. So your group can basically start and walk around the entire downtown area and do an entire day of museums and attractions and things like that, which is really fantastic. My optional fun Christmas fact is that at the Opryland at Gaylord Resort, they have this event every year called Ice. And each year, over 2 million pounds of ice are used to sculpt Christmas scenes. This year's sculptures tell the tale of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So that takes place from right around Thanksgiving through this weekend. And so you can go visit ice and you can take a look at 2 million pounds of ice that's been sculpted into scenes from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
I'm going to pass. I've seen enough ice over the last week that I'm done. I'm done. The only ice I want is in my cocktail at Christmas.
See, there you go. There you go. Okay, Keith, where are we going to next?
We are headed to Modesto. And by the way, I love this photograph. I think it's awesome. I you know, who wouldn't love a big pink car, right?
Many people have sung about big pink cars, so you know.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. That's true. So Modesto, just in case you don't know where it is, it's actually kind of the center of California. It's like 90 minutes from San Francisco, 90 minutes from Sacramento. It's kind of a perfect center if you're looking for a place to kind of base yourself to do like a week-long California itinerary, because you can get anywhere from Modesto. So it makes it really easy. We had our guest, Todd Aronson, really super excited about his destination, and he should be, because it's very unique. One thing that I learned about Modesto that I did not know is that 80% of the world's almond crop come from Modesto, which I thought was kind of blows my mind, actually. They have a huge, very long stone fruits growing season. The stone fruits, everybody knows, like peaches and you know, plums and cherries, things like that. And it's incredibly long. It was like 4 or 5 months. It was just an incredibly long period of time. So, you know, it was interesting because of the agricultural basis of Todd's presentation to us about Modesto. But some of those facts, it's just, he also mentioned during his talk with us about the fact that it's one of the, they can get fresh fruits and vegetables all 12 months of the year because of the agricultural season there, which is really cool. So why Modesto should be really good for groups. First of all, the agricultural experiences you can have there are amazing. You can actually take a group into an orchard and you can pick peaches, or you can, you know, pick, you know, berries or things like that. You can, and feel like you could get the experience of being like a farmer. And he said all of these experiences in the fields and in the agritourism area are all geared towards groups just as much as they are to individuals. So groups are welcome and they work with them. He did mention that there's a lot of arts and culture, museums, things like that in Modesto. Obviously, with all the fresh fruits and vegetables, it's also a huge foodie destination. But my one Christmas fact about Modesto is they have an annual Celebration of Lights parade that actually happened the first weekend of December, but it happens every year. And it's a huge event in Modesto. He had mentioned that at the beginning of the episode, one of the things that struck me, and when I found the parade in my research, it kind of puts all the pieces together and read about the parade, is that oftentimes people mistake Modesto as a city in a town in the Midwest of the United States. He says it's got a very hometown feel, but it's in California. And when you read about this parade and the annual Celebration of Lights, it sounds like you're in hometown America in the Midwest. So it sounds like a really cool Christmas event. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Stevie G for our next destination, which is also on the West Coast.
It is Pendleton, Oregon. And before I kind of dive in, Keith, I know you mentioned that Todd was very excited to talk about his destination there in Modesto. And I think our guest for the Pendleton episode of Destination Dispatch was equally as enthusiastic. We had Kristen Dollarhide from Travel Pendleton. And you might be thinking, I know I was thinking, where is Pendleton on the map? So Pendleton is about 3.5 hours to about 4 hours east of Portland, Oregon. And it's a little over 3 hours south of Spokane, Washington. Now, if you can kind of picture it here, Seattle, Portland, Spokane, and Pendleton make a pretty good looking rectangle, except for Pendleton is just a little bit closer to the Pacific coast than Spokane. I think my favorite thing about the Pendleton Destination Dispatch episode was learning about the culture of craftsmanship. From hats to clothes to art, handmade things are a huge deal up there, and it's not something new. The tradition of handcrafted items has been around Pendleton since the 1800s. Keep in mind, Pendleton is right on the Oregon Trail, and those who emigrated through Pendleton back then began that culture of craftsmanship. The tradition is still very strong today, and I know if I ever get to visit Pendleton, I'll be coming back with some quality handmade items for sure. Now, Pendleton can be a great destination for groups because even though the town itself is a rural community of only about 17,000 people, they're known for their hospitality, and in terms of attractions and things to do, they have way, way more than many cities that are much larger than them. They have places like the Pendleton Underground tours that groups can do. They have the world-famous Pendleton Roundup grounds where you can catch a rodeo. They have lots of group-friendly dining around town. When you look at what Pendleton has to offer, it's so much more than you'd expect from a town of 17,000 people. So if you're in Pendleton during the holiday season, one really fun thing you can do is catch the Oregon East Symphony's annual holiday music festival. Yes, believe it or not, the town of Pendleton has a full orchestra, and every year they put on a festive holiday concert. This year's event took place on December 11th, and who doesn't enjoy taking in wonderful holiday music around the Christmas season? Jim and Keith, I know you guys do.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Stevie G, I have two Pendleton wool blankets in my bedroom.
I bet you they're quality stuff, right?
Oh my gosh, they are the best blankets you will ever buy. Like I have a heavyweight wool and a medium weight wool, and then Dwayne and I both have a Pendleton shirt, wool shirt that we probably will be able to wear on Christmas Day down here since it's going to be freezing.
Yes.
But yeah, they are. I mean, they last forever. Like our Pendleton wool blanket's probably 25 years old, and it still looks like the day we bought it. It's great.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, now we're coming back to the East Coast. We're going to come back and go to Fredericksburg, Virginia. We visited with Haley and Victoria from Visit Fredericksburg. And where is Fredericksburg? Well, it's easy to find. It's about halfway between DC and Richmond. It's right on the Rappahannock River. So it's south of DC, north of Richmond, right on I-95, which is super convenient, easy to get to by bus. You can fly into Richmond or DC airports. And it's really super steeped in history. One of the things that I learned about it, and here we go, it is the home to the oldest distillery in Virginia, which is the A. Smith Bowman Distillery. Got to bring that up, you know. Fredericksburg is such a great place for groups, though, for all of the historical sites. I mean, major historical sites. George Washington's boyhood home is in Fredericksburg, and also the Mary Washington House is there. It's a house that he got for her later in her life, so she could be closer to him and closer to family and stuff, which is really kind of cool. So that's all there still. They are fixated on the otter. I don't want to say fixated, but the otter's huge there in Fredericksburg, right there on the river. If you have otters in a river, it means that the river health is good. So they do this big the Otterly Amazing Scavenger Hunt, where you can go around and try to find otters in the city, and you can bring them back to the visitor center for prizes, and you end up getting prizes for them. So it's kind of a cool thing that they do have. They have a really wonderful riverside area. They have a strong arts community. And it's a great place to explore on your own, like the historic downtown area. So a lot of the buildings and stuff that are there are from the late 18th and early 19th century. So it's really, a very, very old historic place. And one thing you can do at Christmas time, you can take part in the Wee Christmas exhibit. The Wee Christmas exhibit is the 8th annual this year. It's the 8th annual exhibit of doll houses and miniatures at historic Kenmore. And Kenmore is the house where Washington's sister lived. So the whole family was right there. So it's a neighborhood basically of dollhouses and miniatures for the holiday season. And again, this is the 8th annual one. And, it also includes an actual miniature of Kenmore House itself.
Oh,
So, it's right there. And it gives you a place you can also use a hashtag and share memories of your own dollhouse with your family and stuff like that as you explore all of the miniatures that they have there.
well, with them having all of this and the first distillery, I think we ought to visit Fredericksburg.
Oh, wow. I see what you did there, Keith. You're ready for Christmas, aren't you?
I am.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll take a very quick break before we go into our next destination. Stevie, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of our partners?
Group Travel Odyssey would like to take a moment to thank our amazing partners, including Book My Group, Travel Advocates, We Travel, Broadway Inbound, and Fly My Group. These partnerships help make business without boundaries possible, and we encourage our viewers to learn more about these wonderful companies. Now, back to Destination Dispatch.
Okay, my internet went out for a moment there, so we are back, and let's go into our next destination. Where are we going to next?
Oh, we're going to Grapevine, Texas.
Yes.
Which I think all of us have been to, right? Stevie G, were you there with us?
Technically, I flew into the airport. But I was technically, I wasn't.
That only
in
partially
Grapevine,
counts
but I
because
was
if
in
you were on one side of the airport, you weren't in Grapevine.
That's true.
So it depends on where you flew in.
I think, I probably was. I did some exploring in the airport, so chances are I was, but who knows?
Well, Grapevine actually it surprised me, I'm going to be honest, because Heather is extremely passionate about Grapevine, as she should be. And anybody who's wondering, we're talking about the airport, we're talking about Dallas-Fort Worth and DFW. That DFW, the good majority of the airport is actually in Grapevine. So it's northwest of Dallas, and that'd be northeast of Fort Worth. So it's kind of in between those two. Really easy to get to, obviously, with DFW there. You can fly in, you can take a motor coach, you can take the train, you can walk, whatever you want to do. Lots of options to get into Grapevine. But Grapevine was actually founded as a gathering place. So it's one of those cities that if you go on their website, you can see it's called Vintage Texas is their slogan. And there's a lot of history there. Their historic downtown makes it just really quaint. You get to experience a lot of, like what they say, vintage Texas, what Texas was like many, many years ago. It has just a rich history. And that downtown district, that historic district, is very walkable, which makes it extremely great for groups because you can drop a group off. It's very safe. There's a large area downtown in that historic district with restaurants and artisans. They have a lot of working artisans there, glass blowing and pottery, and even wine tasting rooms. So there's just a ton of things there for groups that really make it an excellent destination for groups to visit. Obviously, as Jim mentioned, we have a Gaylord property here as well in Grapevine, the Gaylord Texan. And for many of you in the industry know, we were just there recently for the American Bus Association conference. So really a great destination that rolls out the red carpet. But the biggest thing about Grapevine that I'm saving for last, because I got the easy one for the holiday fun fact, is Grapevine is the Christmas capital of Texas, and they really roll out the red carpet, or the garland, or whatever you want to say they're rolling out. But Grapevine has it all, lights and just events galore. But one of the things that I thought that I would want to do, because I'm a big train nut, and Grapevine has a model train museum, which I would lose myself in because I love trains. That's when the kid in me comes out. But they have the North Pole Express, and it's a train ride that's hosted by Mrs. Claus.
Ooh.
And that sounds fun, because if Mrs. Claus is hosting a train ride, there's got to be cookies involved.
True.
So, anyway, that's Grapevine, Texas, the
Excellent.
Christmas capital of the world. We should all be there, like right now.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's
time to go to
probably
visit for
really
sure.
crazy right about now.
Oh, and one of the things that I'm sorry, I forgot totally. I meant to put this in my notes. I forgot. One of the cool historical things they have there is on their the visitor center for Grapevine, Texas. They have an antique glockenspiel, and the characters in the glockenspiel depict a train robbery, which is so cool. Like it acts out a little train robbery, so it's really awesome. Anyway, that I want to go see it. That's actually, I believe, in that picture right there.
Yeah, nice.
So anyway,
excellent.
So I'm going to turn it over to Stevie G because this destination is something we're all going to get to this year.
Yep,
that's right. That's right. SIDA's coming up, and we're talking about Winnipeg here. We had Sarah Robinson from Tourism Winnipeg join us. Where is Winnipeg on the map? Well, believe it or not, Winnipeg is only about an hour away from the U.S. border. And if you're looking at a map of the U.S., it's north of like the North Dakota and Minnesota border. Many groups will fly right into Winnipeg. You can fly directly into Winnipeg from some of the bigger American cities. I know Minneapolis and Los Angeles fly directly in, or a lot of the airports across Canada will fly directly into Winnipeg as well.
You can take the train there too, Stevie.
Yeah. Oh, from where?
Yeah, Via Rail Canada goes right into Winnipeg. I've been there. That's how I was there. Was in Winnipeg. Is on the train.
Very cool. Very cool. One thing that I learned during our chat with Sarah that really stood out to me was that the winters in Winnipeg can actually be quite charming. I think a lot of times when we think of like, northern cities during the winter time, we think of those gray skies and the weather not being all that pleasant. But Winnipeg's location makes it so that they get a lot of sunshine throughout the winter. So a lot of the time, even though it can be very, very cold in Winnipeg, you're actually going to be getting a lot of clear skies and sun that will literally brighten the day and give everyone life and energy. So yes, Winnipeg is pretty darn cold throughout the winter time, but it's stunning in terms of the clear skies and sunshine. Winnipeg has some really outstanding museums and sites that can be very appealing to groups. They have the Canadian Museum for Human Rights, the Assiniboine Park Zoo, the Manitoba Museum, the Royal Canadian Mint, and those are just a few of the places where groups can visit and have an immersive, educational, and fun experience. So for anyone out there watching, I definitely encourage you to actually go to this episode and just, skip ahead to the second half where Sarah covers some of the places I listed just now and more on her Winnipeg itinerary. They're all really wonderful group-friendly options. So my fun holiday tidbit about Winnipeg actually has nothing to do with the traditional holidays that we think of. Keep in mind, Winnipeg does an excellent job of celebrating local history that spans thousands of years in the area. And that's why I'm going to bring up Festival du Voyageur, which is Western Canada's largest winter festival. Festival du Voyageur will be taking place this upcoming February 17th through 26th. And it's a celebration of the diverse cultures and histories that make up Winnipeg. There's a lot of different attractions. They do snow sculptures, live music, and they've got a ton more. By all accounts, it's an incredible, incredible wintertime festival. And with that, I'll pass it to you, Jim.
Okay, thank you so much. Next, we're going to go to northern Nevada, or northwestern Nevada, I should say. We're going to Reno, and we've had Katie DeMuth from Visit Reno Tahoe with us. And where is Reno? Reno is basically 22 miles from Lake Tahoe. Interstate 80 goes directly through Reno. I was on Interstate 80 most of the day today, but I didn't get quite that far, so I'm in Ohio. But it is in the northwestern part, as I said, of Nevada. It's really close to the California border as well. Carson City is just south of Reno as well. The Reno Tahoe International Airport has over 130 flights in and out daily. There are 12 airlines that service the airport, and they have 20 plus nonstop destinations. So that's how you would get there. That's also basically where it is. And one of the things that I learned that I didn't really know about Reno is that it's the closest city or community to Burning Man. So the arts scene in Reno has grown exponentially since the beginning of Burning Man. So there are new installations that are happening all the time. She was remarking about how they have this 70-foot long by what she feels is probably 10-foot high Believe sign that came from Burning Man, and it's all lit right there in Reno. Reno is a really good destination for groups. A lot of people only know Reno for the gambling. There are a lot of casinos. And the thing that's nice about the casinos is the casinos in Reno have been designed around group travel. So they are there for groups to come visit. They are welcoming to groups. They have restaurants, they have accommodations, everything that you would want for your groups if you want them to have that casino experience. If they don't want the casino experience, has huge outdoor options. And that's kind of what kept them going so much through the pandemic years. They have a lot of water sports, hiking, biking. They have golfing and skiing. And and she was remarking about how you can actually ski and golf in the same day if you really put your mind to it. So it has the most concentrated in such a small area of the U.S. Of skiing. So it is very small, concentrated area, but a ton of skiing. And again, the lake is right there. Lake Tahoe is there. It's very convenient for the groups to go to Tahoe as well. And you can go to Virginia City and Carson City, which basically will give you the history in the area and in the region. And it's some of the oldest history in that area, actually. Now, my Christmas fact, if you go just south of Reno into Carson City, they have daily rides on the Polar Express. So you can take the Polar Express daily, and it includes a visit from Santa. So Santa and his elves will deliver the first gift to each child on the train. The Polar Express runs from November 17th through December 23rd. Any guess as to what that first gift from Santa would be?
No idea.
Have you seen Polar Express? Okay, I kind of like Polar Express probably a little too much for a man of my age, but a bell, a silver bell.
Oh.
Not that that's going to ruin it for anybody. So yeah, that plays very big into the story of Polar Express. So it's really kind of a cool thing for families to do over the Christmas holiday season. So yeah, that is my fun with Reno. And Keith, where are we going next?
Well, we're going to stay out west, and we are going to Anaheim, California. Now, a lot of people know Anaheim for obvious reasons, but in case you don't, I'll get to that in a second. It is south of Los Angeles. Some would consider it a suburb of Los Angeles, but it is a destination unto its own. And our guest, Michael Young from Visit Anaheim, really talked a lot about Anaheim being a really amazing group destination. And I will say that one of the nice things about Anaheim is that pretty much everything you do there is designed for groups. So, there's not a single thing, activity, meal that isn't accessible for a group. So that's a really good thing about Anaheim. And again, I would also mention that Anaheim is a great kind of hub and spoke area. If you're doing other things in LA, you're going to go down to San Diego, all of those things. It's a really good central location to be for a Southern California tour. I didn't have a lot of new facts that I learned from Michael when we were there, because I've been to Anaheim several times. So I actually took the time to look up an interesting fact about Anaheim that I did not know. Do either one of you know where the name Anaheim comes from?
No, I don't.
Okay. If you separate it into two words, Anna comes from the Santa Ana River, which is nearby. Okay. And Heim, and Stevie G is going to have to correct me on this if it's wrong, because I hope it's right. Heim comes from the German equivalent for home.
That's correct. Yeah.
Wow.
I did not know that. Yeah. I did not know that. So I looked up my own fun fact about Anaheim so that I had something new that I learned. So there we go. But, Michael explained to us why it was a great destination for groups and he used 4 words. Okay. The largest, the only, the first, and the original, which I thought this was a cool explanation of a destination. First of all, they are the largest convention center on the West Coast. I actually think he said west of the Mississippi. Largest convention center. They do a lot of convention business in Anaheim. They are the only Avengers campus in North America. Okay. They are the first theme park, and we'll see if you guys remember. It's not the one you think. It's Knott's Berry Farm was the first theme park. Okay. And the only, obviously, this is the one that everybody knows, Disneyland. They are the original Disneyland, which opened July 17th, 1955, which kind of really just made the whole Disney theme park operation take off, which we all know very well.
Yeah.
So now, from a fun holiday fact, this is where I don't have a lot because I did some research and everything kept talking about going to the parks for the holidays, which I do have to say, if you've not been to a Disney park during the holidays, it is absolutely a magical experience and you should go. Okay. Just pack your patience because you're going to need it. But it is beautiful and it's magical and they know how to decorate a theme park. That's for sure. So with that said, we're going to move on. And I believe Stevie G has our next destination.
I do. And we're headed pretty far from Anaheim. We're going all the way to England. We had John Chamberlain from Visit West, which represents the cities of Bristol and Bath, join us for an episode of Destination Dispatch. Now, Bath and Bristol are directly west of London. It's about an hour and 40 minutes west if you take the train from London. And they're actually very close to the Welsh border. John actually recommended on the live stream that international visitors should consider flying in from Dublin, Ireland, on Aer Lingus right into the Bristol airport. And a fun fact that he brought up was that Aer Lingus's first ever flight was from Dublin to Bristol. But a majority of visitors will just fly into London and then make that trip west. One thing I found very fascinating during our chat with John was the UNESCO designations within Bristol and Bath. And let's start with Bath. It's the only city in the UK to be designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And I want to be clear about this. We're talking about the entire city as a whole is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. That's very rare.
Wow.
Bath was given the UNESCO designation because of the city's Roman remains, hot springs, 18th century architecture, 18th century town planning, social setting, and landscape setting. Bristol also has a UNESCO tie. There are 18 cities in the world that have been given the special UNESCO Creative Cities of Film designation, and Bristol is one of those cities. Bristol is a center for creative innovation when it comes to films, and in fact, many prominent filmmakers throughout history have called Bristol home or are originally from Bristol. It's a really unique tie to the film industry there. I think Bristol and Bath can be a great destination for groups visiting the UK because, as John explained during our live stream, and as you brought up just a minute ago, Keith, you use that phrase hub and spoke destination, and Bristol and Bath, that whole area is certainly that. Groups can call Bristol or Bath home and check out some of the area's wonderful attractions like the Aerospace Bristol Museum. They can do a street art walking tour. They can, check out the famous Roman baths, but then they can go out for day trips to places like London or Stonehenge or some of the other iconic nearby sites. Bristol and Bath have a ton to offer, and the fact that they're so centrally located to these other great areas just makes it even better. So leading up to Christmas, both towns of Bristol and Bath set up these really, really wonderful Christmas markets for people to enjoy. Hundreds of amazing artisans will set up shop. There's live music. There's plenty to eat and drink. Bath's Christmas market ran from November 24th through December 11th. And Bristol's market started all the way back on November 4th and actually ends tomorrow. So if you're, ever in England during the holiday season and you're looking for a fun festive thing to do, head over to the Bristol or Bath Christmas market. All right, Jim, you're up next.
Okay, and I'm going to bring us back over to the U.S. and we're going to Springfield, Illinois. We had Darren Thurman from Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau joining us. And where is Springfield exactly? It is an hour and a half north of St. Louis. It's about an hour south of Peoria, and it's on Route 66. So that's where it is. One of the things that I learned, and this is something that he brought up during our Destination Dispatch episode, is that every restaurant has their own version of what they call the horseshoe. And the horseshoe is a sandwich creation, I guess you could say, that involves toast, a burger, fries, and then a secret cheese sauce that, as he said, drowns the sandwich. And he said it's not really good for your cholesterol, but every restaurant does their own version, from just like the regular one to the high-end version. And it was even featured, this whole sandwich and this whole, the building of it at all of these restaurants was featured on the Food Network. So that's one thing that I learned about Springfield that I didn't know. Springfield is also steeped in Lincoln history. Lincoln's boyhood home is there. Actually, they were saying the only home that Lincoln ever really owned and had was there in Springfield, Illinois. The Lincoln Presidential Museum and Library is also there, and it is a large complex that was designed by Disney Imagineers, actually, and opened not too long ago, to be perfectly honest, in the grand scheme of things. Route 66, as I said, Route 66 does go through Springfield. And the Route 66 experience is one of the things that he was talking about for groups, and it is at the Springfield Fairgrounds. And what they've done is they put up replicas of neon signage from historic Route 66 stops. And this is completely and totally free for people to take advantage of. So as well as taking in all of the historic sites that are around there, there are a lot of really kitschy, fun things to do with Route 66. So you can keep people engaged there by doing a lot of different things. It's not just the history, the Lincoln history, but it's also the history of the amazing Route 66. A really fun holiday fact that I found was that they feature, in the wintertime, they feature Old Capitol holiday walks with carolers, wagon rides, street performers, and a visit from Abe and Mary. So Abraham Lincoln and his wife Mary visit, and on Saturdays, you can take part in what they call Abe and Mary Saturdays. Seriously, it's the name of it. And you can hang out with Abe and Mary in the Tinsley Dry Goods room at the Springfield Visitor Center, and they will play toys and games with children from the era, toys from the era. They will also read Christmas stories, and they discuss a day in the life of the Lincolns. So that is something interesting and unique that you could do over the holidays in Springfield, Illinois.
Very cool. I love the whole horseshoe sandwich thing. I think that's so funny.
Right?
So, yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, no one worries about cholesterol during the holidays.
Of course not. Of course not. And also, that if we went, we would have to try them at several places, because you can't just try one and be like, oh, that's what it is. You'd have to try them several times. So
right.
Didn't he say something about there was like a hotel that started it or something like that? Maybe I might be forgetting.
He might have. I don't.
Yeah, it seemed to me like there was something like it was like a hotel or something that started this sandwich.
I will have to go back and watch again.
I could be wrong. So
okay. Well, Keith, where are you taking us next?
Well, we're not going too far. We're going back over to the East Coast to Richmond, Virginia.
Excellent.
And I, by the way, I love that photograph. It's kind of cool.
Yes.
But that's definitely a summer photograph for Richmond, Virginia, because it's not happening right now. But excuse me. If you don't know where Richmond is, again, it's a great hub and spoke destination because it's south of Washington, D.C., north of Williamsburg area. So it is, and it's super easy to get to those destinations. Virginia has a ton of history. It is just a huge historical destination, and Richmond is steeped in it. In fact, Richmond is home to one of the oldest settlements in the United States, the Henricus Historical Park. It was founded in 1611 by English colonists. And there's plenty of other historical museums and places to visit around there. Obviously, most people know about Williamsburg and Jamestown, which are not far away, which is exactly why Richmond is a perfect place to stay. There's lots of amazing hotel options. In fact, I want to say that that's one of the benefits I think about using Richmond for a hub and spoke type situation for that area is I believe there's more hotel options in that metro area than there are, if you kind of go further south. Obviously not more than there are in DC, but more reasonably priced ones than you would have in DC. So if you do that, if you're doing a, Virginia historical tour, you're going back up to Fredericksburg that Jim talked about, Richmond would be a great place to stay and visit all those places. Richmond is also has a big foodie scene with a lot of different food tours, brewery tours, things like that are available to groups. Obviously, brewery tours more for adult groups, but it has got a lot of food options for groups and very group friendly. Now, my fun holiday fact is what I'm going to say is my favorite holiday fact of both of these episodes of DD. Okay,
finishing strong. I like it.
I'm finishing strong. And it's something that I know both of you are going to want to do. It is the Tacky Lights Tour by Discover Richmond.
Yes, I would definitely do that.
So all I want is my tacky sweater, my tacky Christmas sweater on the Tacky Lights Tour by Discover Richmond, and I'm going to be all set for the holidays. That is,
That's perfect.
You should go look it up. It's cool. Tacky Lights Tour. Got to do that. That's how we end our holiday episode, and we drop the mic, right?
Well, that's great. I mean, we really had a fantastic year with Destination Dispatch, and when we first started this out this past February, we really didn't know exactly how much it would take off, but it really, really has. And we visited some really fantastic destinations. And when we return after the first of the year, we've got some more incredible destinations coming up. And as a matter of fact, I'm not going to tell you where we're going to on January 5th. All I'm telling you is bring a passport. So there you have it.
A valid passport.
A valid passport. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's been great rehashing and recapping all of these wonderful destinations that we visited over this past year. And gentlemen, I thank you once again for joining us. And so we can, put this year to bed. It is now time for this year to be.
Yes. It was a blast, though. I mean, I love talking about all the destinations, as you mentioned earlier, Jim.
We've met some
I learned
amazing
so much. I really did.
Yeah, we've really met some amazing people.
And it truly is interesting to see the wonderful experiences that are out there, and that's the thing that people don't realize a lot of times. You don't have to go to the big first tier cities in the United States or even in London and even overseas. You can go to these wonderful destinations and have remarkable experiences, probably better experiences many times than you would have in the largest destinations, because you get a more unique and you get a more personalized experience. And so it's one of the things that I found so enlightening and encouraging is that they want your groups, they want the people to come in, they want to show you all of the history and all of the things that make the places where they live so fantastic. So
and Jim, to that point, this is actually this is looking at these other destinations is actually one of the best solutions to the over tourism problem.
Yes.
And understanding that when you go visit England, you can go to Bath and Bristol and have an amazing English experience. You don't always have to be in London. And everybody goes to London. And I'm not knocking London. London is great. But, we get to a point in some of the destinations where the over tourism kills the experience for people. Yeah. And so it's really looking at these other destinations is really they're amazing, but they're also amazing solutions to a problem we have to solve as a tourism community, which is we have to realize that we can't just keep pumping everybody into the same places all the time.
Well, and you take a look at how many Virginia locations that we went to that are around DC, but they're not DC, So, I mean, you've got a lot of opportunities there. The same thing when you go out to California. We're not in LA, but we've got places that are around, that are still reachable for your groups. And again, you're going to have a much more unique experience with your group at these destinations than you would if you just spent time in DC or LA or New York or Chicago or, wherever, I mean, the top tier cities are phenomenal. They really are, but there's just so much more out there in this country and in the world that people aren't experiencing, and they really should.
Yep. Absolutely.
Agreed. Wonderful. Well, just a reminder, if you haven't done so yet, and we don't know why you haven't done so, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, we'll notify you anytime that we do have new material on our YouTube channel. This is where all of our Old Destination Dispatch episodes live, as well as our I was going to say conversations with colleagues. My gosh, what's going on with me?
Well, you really are out of it.
I know, right? It's an 8-hour drive today. I did get up at 4 a.m. So, I mean, that's an excuse. So our Coach and Go, our GTO Coach and Go episodes also live on our YouTube channel. And again, that's where we bring on the experts from our team, and we go through certain aspects of our system to help you become more familiarized with it, to give you more efficient ways to use the GTO system as well. And that happens every other Tuesday at 2:00 Eastern Time. Destination Dispatch, as I said, will return on Thursday, January 5th. So we're taking next week off. Thursday, January 5th at 2 p.m. And so we will definitely see you then. Gentlemen, thank you so much. And Stevie, since I screwed it up at the very beginning, why don't you tell us a little more about Destinations Beyond Expectations?
Sure. I mean, Destinations Beyond Expectations is the podcast designed for students of travel. Usually I have episodes dropping every Friday. Actually, I'm done with podcast episodes for the rest of this year. We'll kick it off again in 2023. But I am releasing a blog tomorrow called Where We've Explored in 2022. And what it is, it's actually a collection of the shows I've done here on Destination Dispatch, in addition to all the stuff I've done on the podcast. It's one collection where you can find everything. It's pretty cool. I've been part of 73 episodes this past year between the two shows. I've talked about 13 different countries, and then within the U.S., 23 states plus the U.S. Virgin Islands. So a lot of content. I had some amazing conversations with some amazing people, and I look forward to sharing that with everyone. So
congratulations.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yes.
You have traveled the world this year.
Yeah.
I know. Oh my God. I've gone literally all over. It's been a blast. So
well, fantastic. Awesome. We look forward to visiting places with you again in 2023.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And Keith, how can they get more information about us at Group Travel Odyssey?
Well, they have to visit our website, grouptravelodyssey.com. You got to go visit the website, learn about what we can do to help your group travel business. We have got amazing features and amazing community that are here to help you grow your group travel business and be more efficient in running your business and run some great tours. So come help us grow with you, and we grow together. Grouptravelodyssey.com. You can find information on how to reach Jim, Stevie G, myself there, Kara, who's also on our team, who will be glad to assist you and show and give you a demo. But you can also, as Jim has said a million times, join us on YouTube, see a lot of things there that are really helpful to you. LinkedIn, Facebook, we're everywhere you need to be or want to be. And you can find us, and we'd love to speak with you.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, I wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. To all of our community, our GTO community, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a fantastic holiday season, a really Happy New Year, and we look forward to spending more time with you next year, 2023. It's only a few days away at this point, my gosh. So thank you, gentlemen, again. Have a fantastic holiday, and we will talk to you guys very soon.
Yeah, happy holiday.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this episode of Destination Dispatch. We invite you to stay connected with Group Travel Odyssey on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and be sure to check out more of our media, including GTO Coach and Go and the Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast. Please visit our website, grouptravelodyssey.com, where you can learn more about GTO and request a demo. Group Travel Odyssey, business without boundaries.